Welcome to Forest the Storyteller YouTube channel. Grab your hot chocolate, your blanket and get ready, because it's story time.
Call me Laura. Laura was her name, very different to the name her mother gave when she was born. If Laura ever came back to the tiny city where she grew up, no one would even recognize her, which would make it the perfect place to hide, but she would rather die than have to go back there ever again. Her beloved grandmother Irina left her house for Laura in her testament. It was small but beautiful, a couple of miles south, on the coast. And because Laura loved her very much, she couldn't come back and watch that beautiful space empty, so she didn't do it, until now. That was home. Her favorite place in the whole world. Truth be said, Grandma's stuff was all still there, at the same place. But without her, the emptiness was unbearable. Laura was going to organize it but keep the house exactly how it was. Gladly, Valeria, who used to clean and cook for Grandma when she got too old and weak to do it herself, took good care of the house in Laura's absence. Irina was a free woman out of her time. She abandoned her alcoholic husband when Laura's mother was still young and her youngest son just a baby, to figure out how to survive in the middle of nowhere by herself. But Irina was never going to take that bullshit. She loved her husband, so leaving him was the most painful choice she ever made, but it was necessary. She tried to help him, support him, so he could once more be the sweet loving Dennis she met, but that was too far from happening. Also, Irina had to think about her children, and protecting them was her greater act of love. And even with her heart broken, Irina never loved someone else and remained loyal to her beloved one until the end of her days. Laura was born Timothy. Grandma Irina took her in when she was only 12. No one else in the family would ever speak to Laura again, and as if she was told, they used to tell people that Timothy passed away. Sometimes, Uncle Boris would come to visit Grandma, the only one that actually bothered to check on her sometimes, and Laura could have some news from her family. She continued loving them after all. But Grandma Irina always told her to let them go. The love you have within is too beautiful to be wasted, Irina used to tell her. Your heart is good and kind, protect it. Irina taught Laura very well, so she learned early in life that even loving our dear people very much, we have to choose ourselves first. And that's why she was back home, to run away from the love of her life, Adam. Adam was the only man that ever respected her and treated Laura with reciprocity. He wasn't romantic, his personality was tough, but he would do everything for her and protect Laura at any cost. But their story was too complicated, and with time, things became too hard to handle. When Laura was 19 years old, she went to the capital to try to become a teacher. She loves children, and she believed that starting over somewhere people didn't know her history would make it easier. It didn't. Laura was almost giving up and going back to Grandma Irina's house when she found out about the illness. Cancer. Grandma needed financial support that Laura couldn't provide, but her mom could. Irina refused to move from her home, so Laura's mother, that was divorcing her father back then, moved in. That kept Laura away from home for too long. She did what she had to survive. Laura hated it, but she couldn't go home anymore with her mother there. Valeria was her angel, that called Laura every time no one else was home but Grandma, so she could speak with her almost every day on the phone. Laura told Grandma that she was doing well, working as a waitress at night and babysitting as extra, but somehow Irina knew. She asked several times for Laura to tell the truth. Irina said that she could hear the sadness in Laura's voice somehow, but she insisted everything was fine. Adam was a bouncer at the nightclub where Laura used to dance, and that's how she met him. Dancing, and there was an upgrade she had in life. It was better than being in the streets. On the streets, sometimes clients hurt her. Sometimes they scam and she wasn't paid. And every day she cried. It was the worst year of her life. Laura indeed had the sweet, kind, loving soul that Grandma Irina always told people she has. But at the club she felt safer. The business in the club wasn't just the strippers. Important people would go there to have meetings upstairs with her boss, and the money she could make with tips and extra paid hours cleaning houses saved her from doing what she was doing before, and Laura counted as a victory. And it didn't take long for her and Adam to get close. Laura didn't understand well how it happened. One day they were talking while smoking in the alley, the other day grabbing food together after work, then going to a random bar when the club shut down, and suddenly, they kissed. Adam was always listening. He made her feel like her life and stories and thoughts and feelings were the most interesting things in the whole world. His personality was calm and quiet, but if he had to do his job, he would be terrifying. Didn't even look like himself. But most of the time, he was a gentle giant. Her gentle giant. Laura was only 21 years old when they became lovers, and he was 42. He was also in business there, but he was only required when they had to use force or stealth. He took her out of the room where she was living and rented her a studio. It was small but perfect just for her. It was quiet and comfy and had plenty of sunlight as she loved. She could, for the first time in her life, have a pet. It was a childhood dream that she told Adam, so on her 22nd birthday, he gave her a cute fluffy rabbit as a gift. Nina was her name. He couldn't come that often. Adam had a wife and Laura knew, but she didn't care after a while. Besides the wife, he had 2 sons that were his true joy in life and the only thing he would share with her with joy. It was the only moment that he smiled, and Laura just absorbed it as if it was fuel for her soul. She believed his laugh was the prettiest sound on the earth, and more than once she wondered if he smiles like that when he talks about her, if he could share about Laura with someone. Or maybe he could smile when Adam thinks about her. She never found out, but hoped it was truth. Whenever he wanted to chat about other aspects of his life, everything sounded bitter, cloudy, covered in shadow. He never mentions his wife. Laura doesn't even know her name. But Adam made Laura feel alive for the first time in a very long time. He made her feel loved as Grandma Irina taught her love was about. Also, Adam was the one that made it happen, legally, Laura to retrieve Irina's house from her mother after Irina's death and have a home to go back to. She could be herself with him, and Adam took good care of her, as she was very precious to him. Remembering him and everything they had lived together for the past 3 years made her heart ache so intensely that Laura felt dizzy and had to sit. As if the emotion of being home again, for the first time without Grandma there, wasn't bad enough. She hugged Nina and kissed her in her tiny forehead and said, "What do we do now, Nina?" To be continued.
This is Your Idea Makes Story, so comment below what do you want to happen next. The best ideas will be part of the story, and your comment will be on the video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.